Billionaire John David Rockefeller, the founder of Standard Oil, continues to rank as the richest person to ever live, not just in America, but in the history of the world. He rose from modest beginnings to become the founder of Standard Oil in 1870 and ruthlessly set about destroying his competitors to create a monopoly of the oil industry. But how did he achieve this monumental wealth, and what can we learn from his story? Today, we uncover the incredible story of Standard Oil. John Davison Rockefeller, the son of a traveling salesman, was born on July 8, 1839, in Richford, New York. His father, William Avery Rockefeller Sr., had a rather dubious career and was known for his various schemes. He sold goods such as elixirs and patent medicines, which were often considered quack remedies, and was involved in a number of questionable and sometimes illegal activities. He had girlfriends in each city and even had children with a few of them, a fact that John tried to hide his entire life. His unconventional and often unscrupulous lifestyle stood in stark contrast to his son's future as a prominent and highly disciplined businessman. Industrious even as a boy, the future oil magnate earned money by raising turkeys, selling candy, and doing jobs for neighbors. In 1853, the Rockefeller family moved to the Cleveland, Ohio, area, where John attended high school, briefly studying bookkeeping at a commercial college. He began working as a bookkeeper at the age of 16 at a produce commission farm in 1855. Rockefeller had ambitions beyond working as an employee. At 18, after getting into an argument with his boss about his low pay, Rockefeller used 2 years of savings and got a bank loan to open his own produce brokerage firm. The produce business took off immediately, making young John Rockefeller a popular Cleveland businessman at the age of 21. In 1859, when Rockefeller was only a few years into his first company, America drilled their first oil line in nearby Pennsylvania, starting the black gold craze. Recognizing the potential of the burgeoning oil industry, Rockefeller invested in a small oil refinery in Cleveland, Ohio, which in a mere 2 years controlled all the oil refineries in Cleveland. Rockefeller keenly understood ways of managing risk. While he knew oil speculators could potentially reap huge profits if they hit a deposit, he also knew that they faced substantial financial loss if they failed in that effort. For this reason, he strategically narrowed his focus to the refining business, where profits were smaller but more stable. In 1870, Rockefeller and a few associates, a group that included American financier Henry M. Flagler, incorporated the Standard Oil Company. By 1872, only a few years into business, Rockefeller used a series of acquisitions to become the largest refinery in the world. To continue growing, he went on a buying spree, buying 24 refineries in 60 days. To finance everything, he reinvested the profits and begged banks for more money. Before this series of acquisitions, few businessmen understood how monopolies worked. Rockefeller was the first to focus on aggressive growth by buying smaller companies, a move that pioneered modern American capitalism. At the time, the major factor preventing oil companies from rapidly expanding was the high cost of railroad transportation. To combat this, Rockefeller made a secret deal with the largest railroad companies, promising massive bulk shipments in exchange for prices that drastically undercut his competitors and ultimately destroyed them. Standard Oil's vast empire included 20,000 domestic wells, 4,000 miles of pipeline, 5,000 tank cars, and over 100,000 employees. By this point, Standard Oil was called the most cruel, impudent, pitiless, and grasping monopoly that ever fastened upon a country. Labor activists, politicians, and demonstrators now hated Rockefeller. People even tried to kill him. And then it got worse. In 1904, President Theodore Roosevelt, an opponent of monopolies, vowed to destroy Standard Oil. The federal government filed a massive antitrust suit against Standard, the first of its kind, in 1911. After a decade in court, the Supreme Court ordered Standard Oil to divest itself within 6 months. While an unintended consequence, breaking up his monopoly actually made Rockefeller's net worth increase significantly as each new equity piece began growing like Standard Oil did in the early days. 2 years after the monopoly broke up, Rockefeller's net worth was $900 million, more than double what Bill Gates has now when adjusted for inflation, making him the richest man ever. Billionaire John D. Rockefeller was both admired and loathed, but there is no getting around the fact of his importance as both the principal founder of the Standard Oil monopoly and a world-class philanthropist. A ruthless businessman who gave his competitors no quarter, he still ranks as one of the richest men of the modern world, a great figure of Wall Street, and one of the most powerful men in history.